Chapter One podcast, your inside look at the people powering Charlotte's business scene. Real stories, real entrepreneurs right here in the Queen City. Today we're joined by Danny Decker with My Marketer and a few other things. Danny, we're excited to have you on the show. Let's start at Chapter One. How did you make your way here to Charlotte?
Yeah, great question. So originally born in Minnesota, my parents moved to West Africa when I was like 5 years old. They were part of a mission organization. So I spent like the first, 16 years or so of my life kind of moving around in different countries in West Africa. And, plenty of stories there, but maybe I'll save those for another time. But long story short, moved back to the U.S. for college, did a year of college in Minnesota. Really didn't like it, wasn't feeling it. And so I dropped out and moved to Miami, Florida, where I met you incidentally, and
That's right.
and a few others, and to start a rock band, and
of course that panned out, and that's who you are today.
yeah, exactly. So I'm here because exactly. No, we literally never found a drummer, so
key cog in the wheel.
So the rock band is not my finest professional achievement, but ultimately I did decide to go back to school. Got my degree down in Miami. Spent 5 years down there after getting my degree. Got married to your sister.
That's right.
Minor detail. And but ultimately in 2014 decided we wanted to move. We want to live somewhere else. Love Miami. Yeah. I know you do too. But Charlotte made a lot of sense, and we figured let's try it out for a year in 2014 and see what happens. And 12 years later, we're still here.
Awesome, man. So brief backstory, as Danny mentioned, he is my brother-in-law, and he's also who got me started with my company. He was a big influence into, I remember asking you, hey, I'm not really happy with the company I'm with now, and you were just like, great, start your own company. And I was like, I don't know about that. So you were a big influence in my life at that chapter. But I'd love for the people just to hear more about your story. So I know that you went back to school in Miami and you started working for somebody else. You didn't initially just start your own business.
Yeah, correct.
So how did it go from you working for somebody to you saying, well, I actually want to do this on my own?
Yeah, so the funny thing is I studied finance. I thought I wanted to work on Wall Street. And I graduated in 2008, which is like literally the worst time you could possibly, Wall Street was melting down. And so... I took a job working for a small marketing firm in Miami, and really just honestly because there weren't a lot of places hiring at the time, and she was, and the person who hired me, her name is Paula Black, and she's actually still a good friend and even a client to this day. But I spent about a year and a half working for her, kind of learning what marketing was all about. Worked with a lot of law firms. Before kind of realizing, wow, like I think I want to start my own business. I was not a lot of entrepreneurs, like their parents were entrepreneurs. They're from a generation of entrepreneurs, and so it's just like they always knew they were going to start a business. That was not the case for me, and so I kind of discovered it working for her that I was like, man, I think I want to do this starting a business thing. Yeah. So I left that job to start my own sort of internet marketing company, did a lot of like copywriting and social media management. This was back in like 2009, 2010, and then slowly started to turn it into a real business. We read a book called E-Myth, which is all about, building a real business, not just having a job. And right around that time, I met a friend who became a business partner, who's still my business partner, and sort of together from about 2011 to 2016, we really started building our business, and we built a business which is still doing great today, which is called Spotlight Marketing and Branding. It does full service digital marketing exclusively for law firms, and we have about 180 clients kind of all over the country, 22, 23 employees depending on the day. Maybe I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but that's the origin story.
That's awesome. So for you, I mean, it's interesting talking to somebody like you because you've obviously been doing it for a while, but also in a few different industries. How has marketing looked like, for you guys? Obviously, one just back then to now, but also in the different fields that you've kind of been an entrepreneur in. How are the different steps of marketing that you've taken like helped or not helped?
Yeah, man, it's an interesting question. I mean, the first part of it, how much has it changed? Like. It's like night and day. Yeah. It's just night and day even in the last 2 years. I'm sure you guys have seen it too with how much AI has changed everything.
That's right.
Back in 2010 when I started started my business, a big part of what I was doing was creating content, especially written content. Literally today, that could be done by ChatGPT. Like if I was trying to start that business today, I would have no customers because ChatGPT could do it. So, that's just a small example of how much this has changed. But yeah, like I have worked with clients in a lot of different industries. Our agency works exclusively with law firms, but we have a second business, which I'll tell you about maybe in a little bit, which is called My Marketer, which works with companies in pretty much every industry. But, over the past 15 years, yeah, man, I've been in just about every industry I can think of. Other than e-commerce, I haven't really done much in e-commerce. And, like, it's drastically different, but also ultimately kind of the same. Like, the point, good marketing shows somebody how your product or your service is going to make their life better.
Right.
And it shows them how to get started. And it gets them excited about the product or service. And it ideally sets up a sales conversation so someone on your sales team can turn them into a client.
Mm-hmm. So you, for a brief time in the middle of that, you I don't know if it was you owned a company or it was a podcast. It was called Marketing Simplified.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah. So I wrote a book called Marketing Simplified. I started a podcast called Marketing Simplified. I always have had, I enjoy teaching. There's teachers in my family. I really enjoy working with business owners. And so for a couple of years, I actually focused the majority of my business on sort of one-on-one coaching, consulting, workshops, things like that for businesses in a bunch of different industries. But, to feed that business, I wrote a book, I did a podcast and all of that stuff. And so, the book is called Marketing Simplified. It's on Amazon, barnesandnobles.com. And that is kind of a core belief that I have is that most people make marketing more complicated than it needs to be. And so one of the things I try to do through all my companies is help business owners understand and really know what they're talking about so they don't get taken advantage of by, marketing vendors or snake oil salesmen or whatever. And at the end of the day, it just shouldn't be that complicated. And if it is too complicated, then it's probably a sign that somebody's doing something wrong.
Right. And so that, I guess, love for marketing, but also entrepreneurship has led you into your most recent venture, which is My Marketer. And you've told me a little bit about this, but it's super interesting, and I'd love to just hear more about what that is. Like, what is My Marketer?
Yeah. So let me say this first. Spotlight Marketing and Branding is still running and doing great. We've fortunately built it to the point where we have a leadership team that honestly runs it without needing me or my business partner.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. So that business is still doing great. And for all the law firms out there who are looking for marketing help, spotlightbranding.com, you can learn all about it. But in the process of building that business, we got really good at hiring marketing talent, right? We have a team of like 23, 24 people right now, and we've probably hired over 50 over the years, right? And you have to let people go. But one of the things we got really good at, which I think was our superpower, was just hiring great people.
Yeah.
And so a second business was basically born out of that because the agency is built to help law firms. There's a lot of other business owners that need help. And rather than trying to build an agency to serve all of these different industries, we're like, what if we just hire great marketing help, train them, and then just place them in these businesses? So My Marketer is basically a marketing staffing company. So we work with businesses in any industry, right? Typically small businesses that need marketing help, and they don't want to go hire a marketing assistant in there like locally, right? Because it's a lot more expensive, because it's hard to find good marketing help, because you have to deal with payroll, you have to deal with taxes, you have to deal with unemployment insurance. So we source virtual marketing assistants. So we find really great marketers in Latin America, primarily Mexico, and we place them in US-based businesses. So if you own a business in the US and you want marketing help and you don't want to go hire a full-time employee, mymarketer.com is how we help.
So what are primarily like the companies that end up going with you guys? What are the biggest problems you're solving for them?
Execution help. So entrepreneurs have ideas. It's not hard for entrepreneurs to have ideas. What they don't usually have is the time and the patience and the skill to like execute that stuff at a high level. So business owner is sitting here thinking of, before they sit down to breakfast, they've probably had 2 or 3 marketing ideas, right? But the problem is they don't have any bandwidth to execute it. So we bring execution help. We place a marketing assistant in your business, and you wake up and you have your crazy ideas, and you can send them over to them, and they'll start executing. And this is like important for a couple of reasons. But one of the biggest things is lots of business owners are frustrated with their marketing because they can't get it to work. But the problem is most business owners don't have the patience and the consistency to actually stick with it. Like the truth is most marketing channels could work for most businesses, actually. What it takes is focus, execution, consistency, trial and error, and most small business owners don't have the patience for that. So we are giving them a marketing team that can actually execute and get this stuff done.
Well, it's funny because you're actually solving like two big problems there, which is one, it's the marketing side, you're helping them out there, but also the scaling side, which is I think something that a lot of small businesses really struggle with is, okay, I'm at this point, how do I get another trusted person on board that really understands what we're doing? How have you guys done that? Have you scaled the companies that you're with now, but the companies you've also been with in the past? It sounds like you've done such a good job at that you're now helping other people kind of staff themselves.
Yeah.
What are some good pieces of advice for scaling?
So the first thing is for every 100 people that apply for one of these positions, we hire somewhere between 1 and 3 of them.
Wow.
Right? So we are weeding out 97 to 99% of applicants simply because they're not good enough.
Yeah.
And we've built a process and a business that requires like marketing superstars. And so, that's something, we've gotten really good at over the years, but it's also something, businesses can do on their own. And I'll just share a few quick tips for that. The first thing is understand that if you post a job on Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, people can apply for that job with like the click of a button, and most people don't even read the job description. And so then you as the business owner are sitting there weeding through resumes from people that only spent 3 seconds and didn't even read the job description and might not be a good fit. It's a huge waste of your time. So what you do is at the bottom of your job posting, you put some special instructions. You say something like, if you're going to apply for this job, go ahead and click the apply button, but you also need to send an email to this address and you need to put this phrase in the subject line. Okay. And then what happens is probably 90% of the people who apply for the job don't follow that direction, and you just throw them away. So that's 90% eliminated off the top because they can't follow instructions or they didn't care enough to read the whole thing. So super easy, eliminates 90% of your job applicants. Then you want to create a couple rounds of testing where it's like, okay, you got an application. You look at it, you think they might be a good fit. The resume seems like it might be a good fit. Don't just interview them, then send them a test, basically. Say, hey, before we move forward, we think you might be a great fit. Congratulations, 90% of people don't even make it this far. Right. But before we can schedule the next step, we need you to demonstrate your skills, right? And you give them a couple of assignments relevant to, the position you're hiring for. So you guys do a lot of video editing, I'm sure. So you could say, hey, do a simple video edit to this, this video clip, right? And then they actually have to prove that they know what you're doing. Good. And you can also ask them, this is something we do now because everybody can film on their own phone. We'll also ask them to just film a quick video introducing themselves and saying why they are excited about the job opportunity, and send that to us as well. And it's actually pretty amazing. Just from a quick video, you can quickly read their energy. You can just kind of tell wow, this person fits or this person doesn't. And so that process, that eliminates another, 60, 70% of people who either tell you, no, they're not going to do that test, or they do a crappy job, or you just don't like their energy. Yeah. And then once they get through that step, then you interview them. And so at this point, you're only interviewing the cream of the crop, and you should still not just interview them, but actually let them demonstrate their ability, actually give them some work to do, prove they can do it, and then you hire them. And even with all that, you still then have to be ready to let them go within a few weeks if they can't get the job done. If people will make it all the way through, still disappoint, you got to let them go. And so coming back to answering your question, marketing, probably most businesses, but most industries, but marketing is really about having talented people. And so again, our superpower is finding those people.
Yeah. So for you, obviously you do a whole bunch with being kind of the head of things. What is the thing that you would say you love most about what you get to do, not just in entrepreneurship, but also just in marketing? Because it seems like that's been kind of a through line in most of the startups that you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of what I get to do at this point. It really is nice to have a team that handles most of the day-to-day. So I get to do, we host a couple of podcasts. So I love doing that. I love having these types of conversations. I also really enjoy working in either one-on-one situations or workshops where you get business owners together and just talk through marketing strategy. I don't do a whole lot of that these days, but it's really fun because, again, most business owners are a little overwhelmed. a little skeptical when they think about marketing. At the end of the day, like, it doesn't have to be that complicated, and I like showing people that.
So this is kind of a fun question. If right now what you were doing with My Marketer was gone, all of your old endeavors are gone, and you were forced to just start from scratch, what kind of company would you be starting right now if you had to start something new?
I mean, it would have to be something in the AI field, right? Because
Yeah.
at this point, you just put AI in the name, and you get a ton of interest, right? So, I mean, I'm kind of joking there because I actually think the AI bubble is probably gonna pop. Not that AI is going away, but like, it's so overhyped right now, and there's so
Yeah.
much sort of BS that's just being packaged. And so, in all honesty, probably the skill set, the thing that I'm best at is either like sales copywriting. Like, I really enjoy creating, written language that sells things, or some sort of, structure for teaching workshops, training, because I also really do enjoy like educating business owners.
Yeah. So what's like the biggest piece of advice you'd give new business owners, or like yourself, if you could teleport back and be like, hey, this is the one thing you need to keep in mind? What are some of the biggest things that you've learned?
I'll throw a couple quick ones out there. One is you gotta put a percentage of your revenue aside for marketing. Like, if you really want to grow your business, you should just build it into your budget like right away. Different businesses, I'm not gonna just throw out a specific number, but probably somewhere between like 5 to 20% of your revenue you should actually earmark to invest in marketing if you really want to grow your business. So that's number one. And then probably number two is understand, like, nobody chooses to hire your business for your reasons. They all choose for their reasons. And so the thing you need to figure out is, how can your business help them make their lives better? And your marketing should really be about showing your clients, hey, this is how we're going to make your life better. Like, get them, figure out what they want, and then show them how your business is going to help them get there. That sounds obvious, but like, most marketing is like, it's all about how great the business is. It's like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've got these beautiful offices. And it's like, nobody cares about you, dude. They want to know how you can help them make their life better.
So you mentioned that this is kind of going back to what you said about AI, thinking it's going to burst. What do you think the future what do you think the future of the business world looks like? Like, what are you most excited about moving forward? Like, looking down the road, what are some things, like, what are predictions that you have?
I think, and I want to be careful, I don't actually think like AI is like, I do think AI is here to stay.
Sure,
right?
I think I understood you there.
Yeah.
You're just saying it's overhyped right
I just
now.
don't want to be that guy who's like on camera being like, AI is going away, right? No, but seriously, I love that question, and I do think there's going to be sort of the pendulum swinging back away from AI, because like, we're now at a point where there's so much digital media and we don't even know what's true and what's not anymore. And so I think there's going to be sort of a resurgence of the old school, like, in person. I think we do events from time to time for a couple different businesses, and there's something about like the energy of getting people together in a room that's just awesome. And so I actually think we're going to see like a swing back to like old school marketing, face-to-face networking, events, even things like mail and postcards and stuff like that. Like, I think there's going to be like a swing back towards the old school marketing, and I think that stuff is more fun, so I'm excited about it.
Well, that's where I started, and you obviously you were there and present for me getting off the ground. It was all about networking. Is that still what you'd recommend for somebody who's just like, I have this new idea, I don't know anybody? Like, is it just, hey, you got to go out there and get to know people, you got to grow your network?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a ton of money, right? That's the key. Is if you're bootstrapping and you don't have like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in like faster moving marketing, like, that's still just a great way to start. I mean, again, depending on what your business is, right? But if you own a business where, there are people locally who can either hire you or give you referrals, then 100%, building a network is super important. And over time, as your business grows, I mean, you've done this, Greg, you eventually, as the owner, can start stepping away from that and start putting some resources into marketing that may be more scalable. But like, the value of networking and building relationships, like, just never goes away.
Yeah. So what's a situation over your years of owning your own things and kind of starting all these different avenues of work? What's like the worst situation you've ever been in? What was a fire you had to put out that you were like, oh shoot, how did I get here? Like, what's
man,
like a disaster?
In the I don't know, 3 or 4 years into building our agency, we found out that 2 of our employees, and at this point we had like 6 employees. So like
So
one
that is,
third,
that is 33%
like-
of your staff.
correct, 33% of our workforce was actually starting a agency like in secret. Like
Really?
they
I don't know if I've
were
ever heard this.
actually building a competing agency while still being employed by us.
Were they siphoning clients?
They were not siphoning clients, but they were absolutely trying to, start their own business. And maybe their plan was that they were going to leave. But like, yeah, they went really far down that road. They were actively signing clients, and so
man.
it's just like one of those things where it's like, all right, so now we have to fire 2/3 or 1/3 of our workforce, and now we've got this other agency that's popped up, and they probably have our
Competing
systems,
agency.
and it's just like, yeah.
Dude.
But man, I wish I could tell you that was like the only employee disaster. It's the more you build a team, like it's great in some ways because it can really free you up from the day to day. But like, yeah, you also, people are crazy, and the more people you employ, the more situations like that you deal with.
Awesome. So if people wanted to get in contact with you, Danny, if they were interested in My Marketer or in Spotlight Marketing and Branding, like how could they reach you?
Yeah, so spotlightbranding.com, mymarketer.com, or just find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. It's Danny Decker. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome, Danny. Well, it was great having you on the show. Appreciate your time. This is Danny Decker with My Marketer, and I am Greg Prince with Chapter One Films. And like always, this is the Chapter One podcast.